Hello everybody, thank you for clicking on the video. I appreciate that you're here. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about books, sometimes movies, and in this video I'm going to be talking about this book right here. This is Watchmen, not The Watchmen. For the longest time I thought this was The Watchmen, but this is Watchmen. This is a book that was written by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and this came out in 2013. And I'm going to talk about this. But before I get into the book, I want to say thank you for being here. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to leave me a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Now, one thing that I'm doing right now is the Read What You Own challenge. This is the 21st book that I finished for the challenge. This challenge is where you read books from your collection without buying more books, and I think it's a great idea. It's really helping me to read the books that I've been meaning to get to. I put a rule for myself that I'm trying to do no rereads for the challenge. So every book that I read is a fresh book from my collection, and I've never read this before, so this is my first time. So let me talk about this book. Now, when you read a comic book or a graphic novel, the first thing that you're going to look for is the artwork. What is the artwork like? And this artwork is sometimes really incredible. You know, there's a lot of really terrific artwork in this book. And this is in color, and the colors are done very well. It's very colorful, really awesome. The way this book looks is great. I really love the look of this book. I mean, this cover is pretty cool, right? Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the characters. Now, there's a lot of characters in this book, but I'm going to talk about 4 of the main characters. Now, the first character is Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is this blue character. He's blue, he's bald, and he's got like a circle on his head. And he's omnipotent. He's got just about every power that you can think of. He has the power to teleport himself. He can teleport a bunch of people at the same time. He can control the environment. He can make multiples of himself, and they could be doing things, you know. He's got all kinds of power. He actually can go to Mars. So he could pretty much do whatever he wants. The way he gets his power really reminds me of how the Hulk got his power. He got exposed to a bunch of radiation, and it made him disappear. And then he came back, and he became this like really powerful being. And he's a really interesting character, and he's a big part of this comic book series. The next character, my favorite character, is Rorschach. And Rorschach is just a tough guy, you know what I mean? He's a tough guy that believes what's right and wrong. So, plus he's a very smart, tough guy. He kind of reminds me of Batman, but with his tough attitude, you know? And he's kind of like the Punisher, man. He has no problem. I don't think he has a problem killing people. You know, I believe a couple people have died from him in this story. And he's a person that pretty much wears this mask that changes. It's a black and white match, but the pattern of it is constantly changing. And he grew up like in a really messed up way, and it really made him tough. So he actually became a crime fighter, and he's a really interesting character. I really liked his character a lot. He's the one that I could relate to the most. Then the next character that's probably the most popular character in this book is Night Owl. Night Owl is a person that reminds you of Batman a lot. He wears a suit that's very similar to Batman. He's got a bunch of vehicles, kind of like Batman. He's a rich guy that's got like a secret lair, kind of like Batman. And he's a really interesting character. You know, if you're a fan of Batman, he will remind you of Batman, you know, in a lot of ways. And then there's Laurie. She's another character. Now, she's just a person without superpowers, but she has trained a lot, and that's why she's a superhero, is because of her training. And her mother was a superhero as well, so she was inspired her to be a superhero. So she's not, well, these aren't superheroes, but these are like costume Avengers, you know. And there's a little bit her story is like she's, her dating, it's a little bit like who she's dating and stuff, and she's pretty much through the whole story, and she's a pretty interesting character as well. And one thing this doesn't, and also there's a bunch of other characters. There's the comedian, which is kind of he's kind of a hero, but he's a very dark hero. A couple other ones that you meet, they're not really memorable because they're not covered very often. Like, I believe there's a Mothman, and the thing about this is told over many years. And another interesting thing, a character in this book is Richard Nixon from 1985. He's the president of the United States, which is, and also they're worried about World War III in this book. So this is kind of like, starts off with somebody getting murdered. And this is these four characters going on a hunt for who is doing this, because one of the masked Avengers gets killed in the beginning, and then another one, and then another one. And this is like a detective novel, to where, and it's perfect because DC stands for Detective Comics, so which is pretty cool. So this is kind of like a mystery, and you've got 12 different episodes, 12 different comics. I don't believe, maybe they sold this in different comic books, but this is a one single collection, and this is pretty much the whole story. I don't know if they made other ones, but this is the whole story. And this is a pretty interesting story that's connected with, it's one big story, and it was pretty interesting. My least favorite part about this graphic novel was the ending was very unresolved. I mean, the ending ends in a very weird way, and it wasn't satisfying. But still, even with this ending that's really not a good ending, I would still read this again because getting there was really interesting. And I think this would be really interesting to read this again, because a lot of stuff in this story, you're showed something and you don't know what it means, and then later on you find out what it means. And also there's another interesting part about this graphic novel. Rorschach actually winds up going to jail, and it's really cool on how he's locked in with a bunch of the people he put in jail, and they're out to get him, which was really cool. Now, this was a movie. I think it came out, I'm not sure exactly when the movie came out, but I remember going to the movie theater when it came out, and I kind of liked it, but it didn't really stick with me. A lot of it didn't stick with me, but if I had a chance to watch it again, I probably enjoy it a lot more now after reading the comic book. So I still think this is a good comic book, but at the same time, do not expect a fantastic ending. There's no smile, you son of a bitch, like in the end of Jaws, or you're terminated from the Terminator movie, or the blowing up of the Death Star. There's no spectacular ending. This would be a lot more popular if it had an ending like that. And another thing I got to say about this is that this is not for children. You know, this is definitely for adults. There's a sexual assault in this comic book, and it connects to the whole story. It's not graphic, but you know, there is a sexual assault in this story. There's also a little bit of nudity, but not like graphic nudity. You don't see any private parts or anything, but you see a couple of naked bodies with the privates kind of covered. And there's a lot of blood. I'm going to show you one picture. That's the artwork, and it's pretty bloody. So there's a lot of blood and gore in this comic book. So, and also the vocabulary is really would be difficult for a lot of children to read the vocabulary. And like omnipotent is a word that they use in there, and you know, most children wouldn't know what that means, you know, until they're a little bit older. But yes, this was Watchmen. Hopefully I'll get to see the movie again pretty soon. I'm looking forward to watching this movie again now that I've read this graphic novel. And yeah, and it took me about 4 days. This definitely, out of all the comic books that I've ever read in my life, this has probably took me the longest time to read. Other than Spider-Man, I had the whole collection. I had 6 different comic books that was filled with a bunch of comic books by Spider-Man. And I got up to comic book number 147 or something like that. But yeah, this is pretty much the longest comic book that I've ever read. And Watchmen, I recommend it. This is book number 21 of the Read What You Own Challenge. So, book number 22 is I started already. Now, I'm going to show you the jacket. This is Batman Killing Joke. This was this was written by Alan Moore, which is one of the authors on Watchmen, and Brian Boland is the other author. And this has 2 of my favorite comic book characters, the Joker and Batman. Of course, my favorite is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is definitely my favorite. I love Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And this is the cover under the cover. And you might not be able to see it well, but this is a really amazing cover. If you were here and I was able to hand it to you and you'd see it a lot better. You could kind of see what it is. It's really cool, right? And yeah, so I've read a couple pages of this already. I could tell that this is another story that's really not for children. One of my favorites comic book characters is Batman. I really love Batman. He's one of my favorites. Spider-Man is number 1. I really love the X-Men. The Punisher is one of my favorites as well. And this is pretty interesting so far. This is not going to take me nearly as long. But yeah, I'm reading this right now. I love this artwork right here, man. Look at that. That's a really cool artwork. An interesting thing, it says, I love Killing Joke. It's my favorite. It's the first comic I ever loved. Tim Burton. And Tim Burton is one of my favorite directors. I love Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice is amazing as well. So that's what I'm reading. And that's all I'm going to talk about in this video. So that's about it. I'm Peter the Book Lover. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button if you liked it. And that's about it. I am Peter the Book Lover, and I want to thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.